In today's world, who do we get to speak to about death? It comes into our lives without much of an invitation, and we usually want to speak to someone about it. But who can we speak to? We used to be able to speak to priests, vicars, and people from various other religious groups, but with that being on the decline, where does that leave us? And that leaves us with doulas. Hi, my name's James. I'm studying a Masters in Deaf Religion and Culture, and this is James Talks Death, and today we'll be talking about doulas. Normally, if we want to talk about something important, we turn to the ones we love, those who we respect and those who we trust with the information. Sometimes we can't do that, for example, about death. Death can be, however, a demanding and sometimes even damaging conversation to have, so we may avoid having that conversation with those we love to protect them. This is where doulas will step in. So a lot of us have heard about birth doulas, and these are people who accompany pregnant mothers throughout the pregnancy as well as through the birth giving procedure to make sure that they go through it as the best they can by being that independent voice who's not so emotionally attached to the situation and also knows a thing or two about the procedures needed to give birth. For example, what medical procedures are in place, what legal proceedings have to occur. Death doulas are very similar. They help those who are dying, as well as their families, cope with the death a bit better than they would do on their own by being that independent voice. This is often dealing with the growing issues that occur, especially suddenly, when someone does pass. It's a very malleable role, and it can be completely different between person to person on how the doula deals with the situation. One of the more common ones is helping the family deal with the emotional shock that comes with someone who has been told that they are dying or that they are going through death. It can be more practical, for example, someone who is needing help with power of attorney or with things like funeral arrangements, because doulas will actually research the funeral rites and practices for that person's religion to also help them get all of that side organised when the family are still grieving. They can even be there the moment the person does pass, to be able to help the family deal with the medical repercussions, as well as to discuss with the medical staff what is the best idea going forward given this person's request, and again to not be so emotionally involved by making decisions that were made previously either by the dying or by their family or as a group effort. So they're not really replacing the family's role in there. They're just taking away some more of the distressing tasks that may distract from what we would be considered the traditional family role within someone's end of life. So doulas will guide the family through these distressing times and be that independent person with no judgment or no foot in the game with regards to the outcome, apart from making sure that the family are dealing with the situation as best as they can. This can especially be when the emotions get a bit too much for the family. For example, by talking to the person who is dying and ask it'll be the most comfortable way for them to pass, and also what they want to do in their final days, for example. So if it was me, at the moment, I'd quite like to have a wrestling party and have all my family come and enjoy this thing that I've enjoyed since I was growing up. This allows for the pressure to be taken away slightly from the family, because we want to do right by those we love. So when our family and friends are dying, we feel this pressure to be able to respect their wishes and give them the best send-off that we can. And the doula can come in and take away that pressure, especially because there will often be a family member who would take such a responsibility, and by introducing the doula, it can reduce any trauma from the event. It could mean they know that there's a safe pair of hands that are dealing with the situation. This will allow for people who are very close to the dying to work through their emotions as well as their grief, because doulas will also tend to be someone who will stick around following the passing to make sure the family can deal with the bereavement. So I did just want to give a quick overview as to what, how, why the doulas exist. Hopefully that gives you a bit more information. I did get a lot of the information that I'm sharing with you today from the non-profit organisation which is Living Well and Dying Well, and from Ninon during a meeting that we had with one of our Wednesday deaf pubs, and I was extremely interested, and it's something that I would love to do, and I am looking to do the training myself to be able to become a doula at some point, so I can put my skills that I'm learning through my masters into a more practical approach similar to what I do for work. So that being said, if you want to look into that a bit more, you can look at the charities. I'll include Living Well, Dying Well, as well as some other doula-based charities in the description. If it's something that is of interest to you, I'd be more than happy to discuss it with anyone if they did want a bit more information. So please leave a comment if you do have any questions on that. But this video was more to introduce people to the idea of what a doula would be, because even myself, who has an interest in the subject, was completely unaware of them. And I wanted to share that with all of you guys. So I hope I've introduced you to an idea that's caught your interest. Like I said, please go to the description and look at these wonderful non-profits and charities that provide the service, because that'll be something that I'll be looking at discussing at a later date, maybe more specifically the charities in general, but also other charities that deal with dying, such as Dignitas. If you want to know about how discussing death is so important, then you can check my first video, which was Why Discuss Death, or even look at my reaction to the TED Talk by Peter Saul about Let's Talk About Death. With that, if you did like the video, please leave a like. It shows not only myself that you enjoyed the video, and it also will tell the algorithm that this is more interested, so other people who are interested in the subject get that in their notifications or even in their suggested feeds. Also, if you did like the video, please subscribe, because this is James Talks About Death. So as it says on the tin, we'll be discussing things such as death, bereavement, grief, anything surrounding the subject, as well as future videos such as looking at what I'm going to be doing for my dissertation with my masters. And also I would like to look at pieces of media that discuss death, similar to my reaction of a therapist reacting to the grief displayed in the film Up. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care and goodbye.